passes coming through the carousel and try and get some moves done there. The Moraine Sweeps also is going to be an interesting spot because the breaking point into turn 5 is very difficult on these cars because they have a very light rear end. So expect them to have a little bit of trouble getting the car slowed down for that corner. But Road America is one of the most exciting race courses here in the States, and I look forward to seeing how the PRL guys will tackle it tonight.
It should be a very exciting race, and as always, today's race going to be brought to you by Simsa. Simulation Motorsports Affinity provides many consulting services, from completely customizing simulators to managing teams, individual drivers, and complete events. They're working hard to bring organizations, companies, manufacturers, teams, and drivers together at one place to support and promote sim racing internationally. They're also bridging virtual and real motorsports by providing a network between these two, involving sim racers, real drivers, teams and managers, engineers, and of course, motorsport fans alike. You can find out more about how you can get involved at simsa.net. So it's a brand new season, so obviously no current championship graphics to bring you, but we do replace the Formula 3. So let's give ourselves a bit of a reminder as to how the Formula 3 season ended up. It was David Holland that won by 9 points in the end over Greg Sight, Samuel Hermer, coming home third ahead of David Saroy, and David McDonald making up your top 5. And in the team's championship, it was Rustart Racing Iron coming home as victors from Vantage Zero, Lavoy Motorsport, Rust Racing Steel, and Blown Trunny Racing. So I think Adams, being, I guess, similar cars and the fact they're both low-end open-wheel cars, we should see similar names fighting towards the front.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of returning drivers here in the series, just like our current pole sitter, Nathan S. Lewis. These drivers are going to have a very interesting time, though, adapting to a brand new car here on this service. So it's going to be fascinating to see how they tackle all of this, and it'll be really interesting as we take a look at our race details. We're going to take a look at how they're going to handle this entire season. Now, this is round 1 of 10 here for the PRL Indy Lights Series, and this is going to be 45 minutes here of race time. Now, they've got 15 minutes of open qualifying, which we're in right now, and they also have an open setup, so they can set up the car however they would like or dislike here. They have a drive-through penalty at 11 incidents and a disqualification at 20. That is not that many, so you can't go off track that many times. They also have bonus points for pole, fastest lap, and 3 incidents or less. So it'll be very interesting to see how these drivers tackle all of these new and adjusted situations here, especially that drive-through penalty.
Yeah, 11 incidents can be very easy to pick up, of course. Running off the track a few times over the course of the 45-minute race, I know I could very easily end up running off 11 times. So we'll see whether anyone falls afoul of that as we look to the track, to qualifying, and look who's going to the top. The man who finished second last season in the F3 car, Greg Sights, fastest by 0.04 of a second, back to Nathan Lewis.
Yeah, Greg was fastest in our practice session, but here in open qualifying, you have a lot of draft effect, and the draft is going to be so crucial here tonight as we see Greg pulling a couple of cars. We're taking a look at Nicholas Delp, who's all the way down in 19th position as he's coming around the last couple of corners. He has no friends up in front of him, so he's not getting any draft help, and that might be why he's struggling right now.
Yeah, he's 2 seconds off the pace that Greg Sights has set. We'll see whether he does find an improvement by himself on this lap without the help of any slipstream, and in fact he does, and it's a big improvement. He finds 1.1 seconds, improves to a 2-minute.5. That puts him 8th, so he's in the ballpark. Only 3 drivers have gone sub 120 seconds. That is, of course, Sights, Lewis, and Chin. Those 3 covered by a 10th. It's a 0.3 of a second gap back to 4th. And then another big gap back to 5th, and then the field really starts to condense. Here is Nathan Lewis making his way through the carousel and then into the King. One of the most nerve-wracking corners on the track whenever you come here. In these cars, it's pretty much flat out.
It's entirely flat out, and it looks like these drivers are not struggling at all with trying to take the King. So expect the King to be a place where people try and take advantage of the profile of the turn and try and get to the inside as they go through the downs and try and make a move on some guys, especially if they are closing as they exit the carousel. So that's going to be a passing location, and I expect that when we get this green flag, we're going to have these cars bunched up quite a bit going into turn 1 as well. It will most likely be side by side for most of our positions.
Not a good lap for Nathan Lewis. There has been a couple changes, though, on the leaderboard. Owen Watts has actually popped up to the front, ahead of Declan Eady, knocking Sykes, Lewis, and Chin all down 2 spots, so it condenses even further at the front of the standings. There is Owen Watts, and he's got help, in fact, up in front from his teammate. That's Declan Eady. So for those two actually working together very nicely, wouldn't surprise me if it was Eady that was a trailing car last lap, and he did a slingshot buy down before turn 1 of this lap. So expect these two to stay glued together in the 5 minutes we have remaining here in the 15-minute open qualifying session. And just behind them, not a teammate, but someone benefiting well, is Austin Espartee. He's sitting in 9th at the moment.
Yeah, Austin, a very experienced Indy driver on the service. He's one of the highest scoring and highest iRating IndyCar drivers out there, and Austin currently benefiting from these two teammates who are pulling him along. And Austin here participating in the PRL Road to Indy series, and that's one of the things about replacing the F3 model, is that this really does kind of complete PRL's Road to Indy theory that they've been trying to build up here in this league for a while. And it's awesome to see experienced Indy drivers like Austin Espartee getting their chance to drive these fresh cars as well.
Yeah, exactly. So here on Thursday night in the Precision Racing League, there's actually 2 series being run. There's this one, the Elite Series, it's being called, broadcasted by us here at the Global SimRacing Channel using the Indy Pro 2000 cars. And there's also an amateur series that runs alongside it for drivers with a lower iRating. The minimum iRating for this is 2000. Everyone 2,400 and below is able to run in the amateur series, which uses the USF 2000 cars. So all 3 tiers being utilized. And then, of course, the IndyCar series, which runs as well. So definitely completing up Road to Indy formula, and good to see a strong field turning out for both the Elite and the Amateur Series tonight. Brian Zaley, what can he do? This lap is not going to be doing very much for him. It's 2 minutes 30 or in the region thereof, so he'll warm up and try to pump in a lap time now as he begins the run down to turn number 1. It's a pretty long run down to turn number 1. Once you launch off the line, there's a lot of time on your hands before you jump on the brakes for that first corner.
Yeah, it definitely is, and Brian Daly just getting a little bit of an off track there. It's a really long run, and that's where you can expect most of the passing to take place, is up over the hill, the crest of the hill, before you get to the start-finish line. One driver I'm keeping my eye on right now is Greg Seitz. He was our fastest in practice, and he's only 6/1000ths of a second behind our 2 leaders, but he's only got 3 minutes left, and he has no draft help up ahead of him. Liam Quinn's on an outlap 2 seconds up ahead, but Greg is going to have to get some draft help if he expects to slingshot his way back past the 2 teammates ahead of him.
Wonder if he can find a Rust Racing teammate somewhere out there on the track. Either way, he's by himself at the moment. There is a flip side to the coin, though, when it comes to having a drafting partner out there on the straights. If they remain in front of you through the corners, you can get some of the dirty air effect, which will hinder you through the twisty parts of the racetrack, the parts where you really make up some time in the driver's seat. So Seitz doesn't have that disadvantage, but you can see there he's still half a second off his previous best. He's definitely struggling, because we know Watts and Eady were running together when they set their times. Daniel Zegers, he will stay 6/10 solid in his previous best with that one, just outside the top 10 for him.
Yeah, and I'm looking down the field, and pretty much everybody is running solitary on track right now, which is something that they're going to have to learn to change as they go on in the season. All the way back down to Mitchell Ian Green in 21st position. He's the first driver who's got a little bit of a draft going for him. He's just now slingshotting his way past Aaron Roofs, who's a little bit of contact there. That's going to cause both of them to lose their laps there. So unfortunately, that sends Aaron Roofs into the wall. The new damage model in effect there with a right front suspension breakage. But this is just them learning these cars and understanding their limits. Mitchell didn't realize that he wasn't clear yet.
And if you want to see where your favorite driver is somewhere throughout the field, if we're not showing them on the screen, you can head to GSRC.tv for full live timing and get real-time updates on where your driver is running in the field. Here's Greg Seitz, though, through the fast kink and down towards Kettle Bottoms and down into Canada Corner, turn 12. Looking to pull it up and set himself up. The last couple of corners on the circuit.
Alex Guillon's about 5 seconds ahead of him, so he's not really going to have an opportunity to get any draft pull off of him. He's just doing it on raw pace. He will be able to start another lap, so it all depends on how this session ends. I believe that they will have the 2 minutes of extended time that we usually get here. But he will cross the line with about 30 seconds, about 25 seconds to go. So Greg Seitz, this is on his penultimate lap. He crosses the line, and it is not faster, but pretty close. Within about a tenth and a half.
Not as quick as his ultimate lap, but quicker than his previous laps, and maybe he's starting to wind up. We'll see if he continues to improve on his next lap in a couple minutes' time. Declan Eady, currently second, and needs to find just over a tenth and a half if he wants to go to pole. He won't find it on this lap. He will find himself coming across the line just before that checkered flag flies. So 3 minutes now for drivers to complete laps. Andrew Wood be the first one to find his session coming to a close. He doesn't improve. He starts no higher than 23rd for this one. Brian Daly's brought it up to pit road.
And Nicholas Delp will be the next one across the line. He's on for a decent lap here, but really not maximizing the car, and I think he thinks that he's not going to improve, so he's going to pull it into the pits as well.
Christian Kubanka, 24th at the moment. The man from California running the 78 car. Exit from this last corner is so crucial because it can hurt you even more so than normally when you get a poor run off the final corner all the way to the start-finish line, because it's an uphill run. So your car really fighting to keep the power up as you go up there. Unfortunately, he has abandoned his lap. Joshua Chin, he's going to continue with his effort, looking to improve on a 1:59.732 across the stripe. He comes. Lap time invalidated. He got an off track somewhere, so he won't improve. Andreas Ike back in 20th.
Yeah, Ike's going to cross the line and try and improve his time. He's coming up to the line right now, and it is an improvement, about 2/10. That does move him up a couple positions, up to 16th. And then Greg Seitz in 3rd position. He's got a lot to do here to try and make it across the line. Alex Guillon does not improve, and Greg Seitz does not improve either. So Stefan Verde will be our final one across the line.
And he improves by just a couple hundredths of a second and knocks him up one spot higher up the order. Mitchell Ian Green improved his time in the background as well. From the new, remodeled, revamped Road America circuit here on iRacing, our qualifying session for the first round of the season has concluded, and we can cast our eyes towards the starting grid to see where they are going to line up. Owen Watts and Declan Eady share the front row as teammates Greg Seitz and Nathan Lewis starting 3rd and 4th. Joshua Chin and Mark McDonald starting off the 3rd row of the grid. Then Austin Espati and Nicholas Delp starting from 7th and 8th. David Saroy and Alex Goyon will be running out your top 10.
Daniel Ziegler starts off 11th with Michael Overbay 12th. David McDonald's going to start off 13th with Daniel Cranefuss starting alongside him. Then we have Brian Daly and Stefan Verity on row 8. Mitchell Ian Green, Andreas Ike, Liam Quinn, and Lyndon Swaby round out your top 20.
A 25-car grid going to be rounded out by Mark Bonick, Armando Edwards, Andrew Wood, Christian Kubanka, and Aaron Roofs. Everyone setting a lap time. 25 cars around here should give us a pretty good race. As you mentioned, it's going to be hard for anyone to break away with the slipstream these cars are going to generate, notably on the main straight, the run from turn 3 down to turn 5, and also that middle to late part of the track as well, coming out of the carousel through the flat-out kink and down into Canada Corner, going to be ripe for slipstreaming opportunities as well.
Yeah,
The
so
wet
a 45-minute race here is going to be surprisingly, it's going to feel surprisingly long for these drivers, as it appears we're going to take a rolling start here for them. And these drivers are going to have to deal with a lot of draft traffic here, and it's going to be very challenging to keep these cars clean, especially with the fact that nobody has driven these cars for more than about a week and a half. So that's going to make it difficult for all these drivers to know where the limits of the car is, as far as like where it is on track, and that can make it challenging to go side-by-side racing with these open wheel chassis.
Give me quite a long warm-up lap for these drivers, having to do the full tour of the track behind the iRacing.com Porsche safety car. It does give them an opportunity, though, to warm up their tyres and get them somewhat closer to the optimal operating window, which they won't quite reach until they reach full racing speed, but certainly better to fire off with warm tyres as opposed to stone cold ones. You're still going to be cautious down into that first corner, though. So Road America, a track that's used quite a lot in iRacing through a variety of leagues and series, but it's because it always provides good racing. And today we're going to see plenty of that good racing. We're also going to see some strategy games being played as well, because they're going to have to make a pit stop at some point, aren't they, Adam?
They definitely will. One stop for fuel is the name of the game, and I would expect them... Well, I doubt they're going to take tires, but they might be able to here. And it's also going to be interesting because it's a 25-car field, and that may not seem like much, but when you are sitting on the back of this grid, that is a lot of cars to try and get.
Certainly is. And these cars, the Indy Pro 2000s, are built to a Formula 4 standard in terms of how the chassis is constructed. They're given a motor capable of outputting 275 horsepower, and they also weigh not very much, 500 kilos or 1,100 pounds, not including the fuel and the driver, so incredibly light, which means despite having that low horsepower, they're able to generate a lot of speed through the corners, and that's also why the slingshot and the slipstream is so powerful, because they punch a hole in the air that the car behind really benefits from, having that little amount of power that would normally push them through it.
Yeah, and these cars get up to about 154, 155 in clean air down the main straight. So expect that to be, 5 to 10 miles an hour more in the draft. So those drivers out front are going to be sitting ducks for the drivers tucked in behind them. But remember that you can't always push here. This isn't like Daytona, where in a NASCAR vehicle where you can give these guys a bump draft. You're going to have to be very careful, especially with the new damage model, that you don't damage those front wings on these machines. So these drivers are going to have to be cautious heading into turns 1.
Yeah, front wing, rear wing are both susceptible to fall off, because that front wing incredibly fragile, running very close to the ground. Bumps can even unsettle it if you're not careful with the curb the wrong way. And of course, that bump draft, but be careful you're not taking a stock car mindset heading into here. Of course, a lot of these drivers may run in a variety of different series across the servers, and making sure you take the right mindset to each and every race is incredibly crucial. It's a 10-round season ahead of us. We visit some very interesting tracks over the course of the season, including next week we head to Phoenix, and using the same format, I guess, as IndyCar, using a variety of both road and oval, makes it very difficult for one driver to dominate the entire season.
Yeah, one thing we haven't talked about yet either is track temperature and the new tire model. Now, granted, this car is brand new, so it is on new tire model version 7 here, and the track temperature is 84 degrees, only a couple degrees over the air temp. That's because we have a mostly cloudy, almost overcast sky out there today. So that's meaning that we're not getting much of a track temperature increase, but we do have 8 to 9 mile an hour winds that are variable, so that actually is going to affect them when they get down those straights, and especially it could emphasize the draft.
Certainly could. It's a pretty optimal window when it comes to track temperature. Not too hot, not too cold. Drivers should be pretty comfortable out there. And that cloud cover definitely going to be more of a help than a hindrance. As we come down to the final sector, we're going to get ready to go racing in a moment's time. So how do the teammates play it? on the front row. How much do they work together to try and pull a margin? And what can the guys behind do? Greg Sykes, we know he's fast. Nathan Lewis on row 2 as well. Those two are going to want to separate these teammates as fast as they can. So the iRacing.com Porsche safety car will dive out of the way in a moment's time. Out of the final corner, he'll take a right-hand turn up the main straight. And then the field will be left in the hands of Owen Watts on the inside line. Looking to get a green flag for the first time, the PRL Indy Pro 2000 Elite Series. Up the hill we go, to the green flag we come, let's go racing. Good jump for Owen Watts, and behind Declan Eady. Thought for a moment about covering off Nathan Lewis, wasn't able to do it, so Lewis on the inside trying to separate the teammates down at a 1.
You can already see that draft effect with Declan Eady getting a good pull off of Owen Watts. Nathan Lewis unable to hold it there on the inside of the corner, so he's going to have to fall back to that 3rd position, that side-by-side for 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, all the way back in the field. But these leaders now single file all the way back down to 6th position with Joshua Chin.
Yeah, Greg Sykes was under pressure from Mark McDonald in turn number 1, but he was able to hold him off. As your leaders running side by side, Owen Watts going to lose out as Declan Eady uses the slipstream with a slingshot to slip on and by, and he goes to the lead of the race as behind Greg Sykes makes a move and gets by Nathan Lewis after losing that spot off the start, and he's going to be followed through. No contact, and Lewis ends up in the gravel, and he clips the fence as well.
Yeah, Nathan Lewis pulled off to the side of the road, our 4th place driver. He's going to have to take a tow there with major damage, so unfortunately he's going to be out of this race, at least for the beginning of it. So we jump back up towards those leaders. Greg Sykes now at the 3rd, Mark McDonald in 4th position, and Joshua Chin in 5th.
Yes, that was Mark McDonald that was trying to follow Sykes through. Lewis was squeezing him on the apex of the corner, and McDonald couldn't quite keep it pinned down. In fact, a replay might tell us the full tale there, whether it was a case of the inside or the outside driver being the way for the racing incident. Either way, the end result is Lewis out of the running for now and back in the pit lane, taking a tow to get there. McDonald resumes in 5th place with no damage, it seems.
So our first 2 drivers, Declan Eady and Owen Watts, out to a significant lead. They've got about a second over Greg Sykes, but then from there on back, they're all pretty much in single file, all the way back down to Austin Espedy, who's got David McDonald for company, and David Serrois in the 9th position. These guys down for all the way through 10th are really duking it out between each other as they get onto this long drafting straight.
2 by 2 they run down the main straight like the entrance to Noah's Ark. On the inside, it's David McDonald trying to make the move on Espedy in the braking zone. He gets it done. Espedy will lose out, and behind, it's the outside that prevails. Daly holding off David Serrois down into that 1st corner. So the inside and the outside both seem strong. It depends on the driver when he gets down to turn 1, because we've seen both lanes prevail. Look at that snake of cars out of turn number 3.
And this is all the way, this is from David McDonald all the way back to the back of the pack. Everybody from 7th on back to 24th all lined up, and we have people trying to take some exciting maneuvers there. That's Daniel Zegers in that black machine in the number 8 trying to make an outside pass work. That's not going to work, but this is really difficult for Austin Espedy to try and hold her on the outside. There was Brian Daly trying to make a move there on the inside, but he's able to do it and swaps over towards, ooh, wow, he gets held up there a little bit. This is going to give an opportunity to David Serrois.
On the inside line with the momentum, but Daly not going to give it up easily. He holds him off. This is a fantastic scrap to open up the racing action. And Espedy will try to skip away for a moment through the carousel. They sort themselves out just for now.
Yeah, but here they go through the kink, and this is the next long drafting straight, and everyone who gets this corner right can have a good opportunity. David Serrois gets a good opportunity there in the 19 in that white and black machine. He's going to take a look here on Byron Daly. Oh, Byron misses his braking point, goes diving off and hits. Oh, that's a hard hit into the barriers there. Major suspension damage. He's out.
Front wing off as well. He's out of the race indeed. Daly will have to take a tow. He'll join Lewis on pit road as an early victim to the troubles of the Road America circuit. But your top 2 haven't separated at all. In fact, Declan Eady is about to lose out of the lead of the race. Owen Watt's going to take it back as the sun peeks through the clouds overhead. Good move.
It's 6:20 virtual standard time here on track right now, and Owen Watts and Declan Eady swapping positions there just to make sure that they don't hold each other up. Greg Seitz behind them has gained a little bit. He's cut that second gap down to 0.78 of a second now, so they are gaining tucked in behind him. But look at this, they're going to swap positions once again. They're trying to maximize that draftability of this new Indy Pro 2000.
Yes, so what they're doing here, Adam, obviously, is down the straights. The car behind is always going to be the faster, and if they're fast enough, they can actually go by on the straight and get back to the race line before the braking zone. Neither car loses out. In fact, both cars go faster, but as soon as one of them is put offline through the corners, they start to lose time. And it actually happened down at turn 4. They were slightly compromised as they came into the braking zone, and that allowed Seitz to claw in another couple of tenths. So they've got to be careful here, because if Seitz comes, he brings McDonald and Chin with him. There's only 1.7 covering that top 5 at the moment. All right, let's take a look at that replay of the contact, first of all with Nathan Lewis. So you can see Seitz gets to the inside. Lewis ends up out high, and Dry McDonald sees a gap, puts himself in it.
Oh, just a little bit of side pod contact between the rear right tire and Nathan Lewis's side pod, and that's what sends him bouncing off track. So unfortunately, that's him out of this race, and really unfortunate because there was a little bit of netcode involved as well. So that stinks for Nathan Lewis, who started off in 4th position, now out of this race.
They've really closed up now. Greg Seitz is there. It's officially a 4-way, make it a 5-way scrap for the lead. So that little tussle between Indy and Watts has allowed them all to come drafting up. If they all start to scrap, Delp back in 6th is in a land of his own, able to put in maximum optimal lap times as well, so he could join the fight too. Look how close that Watts is getting to the back of Edie in the braking zone there.
Yeah, and that actually holds them up significantly. So Greg Seitz now right on their back bumper. They're coming up here to a very difficult section, a very technical sector here. And Owen Watts definitely has a car that's a lot more controllable underneath him. It looks like Declan Eady's getting a little bit loose through these medium speed corners, and he can't really get the nose of that car to turn in towards the apex. So that's what's holding him up a little bit. But Greg Seitz unable to get some speed off the corner as well. So Mark McDonald's tucked right in behind him. We might see Mark McDonald try and make an opportunity, but he actually scrubs off a little bit too much speed exiting the carousel, so everyone's going to stay in line right now.
McDonald making Seitz think about whether he needs to defend. In the end, he returns to the racing line and they get through their single file. This is going to be very close on the main straight here. We're going to see a couple positions change around on hazard a guess because they're right in each other's wake at the moment. Out of the final corner then, so up the hill we run. Let's see if anyone's close enough to pull that maneuver down into the first corner. It was a very good exit for Edie, and that's put him in good stead. Watts is only closing now because he closed by enough. In fact, he lifts it off, doesn't go for the move. Seitz as well, not quite close enough, so they all stay in the same position for now. 36 minutes still to come in this race with the pit stop as well. Now, with your pit stop, Adam, do you want to pit with someone and get the benefit of the slipstream when you rejoin, or do you want clean air?
You definitely don't want to pit alone, that's for sure. I mean, you definitely want somebody to pit with. Ooh, that was a little bit of a moment there with Owen Watts going to the outside of Edie. Edie looking slow on the straight. This is going to give Greg Seitz a good opportunity here because Edie's going to be offline. Greg's going to duck down to the inside and try and make a moment of it. Edie really, really loose on the rear end. Can't get the power down. This has bottled up everybody. But Mark McDonald in the back is actually at a disadvantage because in the draft, he's been hitting his rev limiter, as some of our eagle-eared viewers may have been able to hear. And so Mark McDonald might not be able to get the pass done because he's maxing out what the gearbox can offer, and now that's brought Joshua Chin back up into the race.
Yes, it opens setup for this series where drivers can make any adjustments they want to their car. Every adjustment that exists in real life for these machines exists here in the sim. Now, you'd expect the teammates, Watson and Indy, to be running the same setup, unless the driver input means that they simply cannot run the same setup. We see that often being the case in real life, that some teammates can't run the same set as their counterparts. For McDonald, his setup, though, unfortunately, might be too geared towards the corners and not the top-end speed in the draft. Maybe a slight oversight there on the extra speed he's gaining in the wake of a 3-man slipstream that he's getting at the moment.
Dropping down to P8, we're taking a look at Daniel Ziegers and David Servois. They're battling side by side, or at least they were battling side by side for a moment. David Ziegers doing a really good job exiting the corner, and here comes Daniel Kranefuss trying to make a pass here. He's going to have a good draft and be able to make that move to the outside. And look at that. Daniel Ziegers moving over to the right side to give that little bit of a draft. They're going to go 3 wide here into turn 1. Oh, boy, that was close. David Servois actually backs out of it.
Kranefuss picks up the spot, courtesy of the slipstream from Ziegers. I think Ziegers was actually trying to defend in the end. Didn't move across enough. And Kranefuss was able to take up that inside line. Servois will remain in P10. Kranefuss not going under pressure now because the slipstream comes back in favour of Ziegers, but he moves it over to cover off. He doesn't want to let Ziegers get back alongside him. Not with the preferred line, at least. They almost touch in the braking zone as they drift together. Phenomenal job up on the outside from Ziegers to keep the car there. He's got half the car length in front as they pull into the next left-hander. Now he's got the inside line. What a job from Ziegers to make that move.
And both of them were extremely loose coming off of that corner, able to hold on to it there. But don't think Kranefuss is done yet. We saw how much of a speed gap he had on them on this pole. But here they go into the carousel, and Kranefuss actually has a little bit of a disadvantage going in and takes a shallower line entering. So look at this, Ziegers starting to pull away quite significantly before they even exit the carousel.
That was a really good move, and now Kranefuss is going to be under pressure again. Servois gets close, but Kranefuss defends, and it's tough to really commit to the inside.
Whoa!
No, he's made a mistake, and he's taken a huge departure from the racing line, taking Ziegers with him. Completely missed his braking point and could not avoid Ziegers.
Pretty sure he was looking in his rearview mirror and didn't realize how quickly he was coming up. Here's the slow-mo. Just huge contact. That is massive contact with the barrier there. And he gets a little bit caught up in the gravel, gets a stake down and an anchor down and ends up sliding back forward. But that was huge contact for those drivers.
Ziegers will be extremely unhappy about that. Completely innocent bystander, nothing he could do to avoid that situation. So Kranefuss immediately retiring from the race after that collision. Indy and Watts have been swapping and swapping still in the meantime. Up at the front and around to the background. That was McDonald. Lost the rear end off the exit of the corner. And now drops a couple spots. Did he make the fence, I wonder?
He did make a little bit of contact with the right rear. It'll be interesting to see whether or not that is significant damage and damages the suspension. We know how touchy these vehicles are. Let's see this incident happen live, or in replay rather.
Just dropped it off the right hand side of the curbing. I think that unsettled the balance of the car, and that was enough to loop him.
That's going to separate them a little bit as Mark McDonald now recovers back into 7th position. But our leaders, this has given Joshua Chin 4th position up there, so he's going to have a good opportunity to try and get up there and start battling for the podium spots as Edie and Watts still hold control of this race with Seitz tucked in behind them. Seitz getting a decent exit off the corner. Let's see whether or not the double draft is enough to get him alongside Watts by the time they get to turn 1.
You know, the other thing that Sights is benefiting from right now is the double toe. He's getting an extra burst of speed down the straights through no extra pressure on his engine. So he can actually save a bit of fuel. When we get to the pit stop phase, the drivers that were able to save some fuel in this opening stint should be staring at a nice benefit in terms of the total stationary time.
Yeah, and those in the draft will definitely benefit from that. But that being said, it depends on whether or not they were planning on getting tires. If they were planning on getting tires, it's not going to make that much of a difference. But if they weren't, they're going to be able to just hang on to those positions. But Greg has been doing... Oh, here comes another pass down the backstretch. That's Espedy being challenged by David Siwa.
Got it done before the braking zone there, and got his car back towards the outside line to open up his angle through the corner. Does a good job, and looks like he was sliding on the entry there, using all the speed that he can find in that car. Now trying to skip away from this battle, and maybe a little bit closer to the two McDonald's out in front of him. They're 4 seconds ahead of this scrap for 8th place. Espedy, Goyon, Overby, and Veretti all tucked up in this one.
Now remember, Espedy is used to driving the high-end IndyCar machines, the Dallara chassis that are the IR18s, and those have a lot more of that underside force that helps the cars stick to the track. And these Indy Pro 2000s do not quite have that, as he's actually getting a decent tow off of Siwa here, and unfortunately doesn't have quite enough to do it with. But you can see just how loose he's getting on entry and exit. That doesn't really have the extra downforce that the IR18 does to help stick them to the track as they go through these long, twisty corners.
You know, Espedy had actually got by Siroy on that lap before we picked them up and saw Siroy getting the spot back. So Espedy might actually have the pace out of these two right now, but is struggling to complete it without getting immediately slingshotted back by that other car that he is battling with, the number 6, or the number 19, I should say.
Well, a good battle for P2 right now. That's Greg Seitz making a move on Owen Watts. This is the first opportunity he's had to try and get up to that second position, so don't think that he's not going to fight for this. He's going to try and make that stick around on the inside. Oh, gets a little bit loose through the corner on the curb and ends up pushing Owen Watts a little bit off track there. Owen's going to try and get the over-under there, but Seitz covers it off on the inside. Wow, Greg Seitz making an excellent pass there, just barely stuck it there on the curb. But don't think Owen Watts is done yet. He's right in on the gearbox of Seitz.
So now that Seitz is into second, can he claw his way up to Declan Eady? That little bit of side-by-side has given Eady a huge buffer. He's 1.5 seconds clear of these guys now, so he's got a massive opportunity here to pull away and give himself some big breathing room, because they're going to continue to scrap behind as Watts gets the slipstream. He pulls to the outside. Seitz defending the preferred line for Canada corner. Wheel to wheel they run. The outside line, best of all through there. Watts goes back into second. And as they do this, they continue to leak more and more time to the race lead. Joshua Chin now incentivized to try and get a piece of this.
Absolutely, and Owen Watts playing that rear guard to Declan Eady, battling as hard as he possibly can with Seitz. Every single time they go side by side, they lose a second to Eady, and that's exactly what Owen Watts wants to do, is to give his teammate as much of a buffer as possible before they hit the pit time. And here they go side by side once again. Seitz trying to make it work on the outside, but look at that. Watts just with so much grip there on that machine, keeps it stuck in on the inside. Seitz going to try and go around the outside again. Watts powering through. They're going to be able to make it work. And Joshua Chin now with the draft.
Watts is firing off these corners extremely well. That car is really launching when he gets onto the throttle initially, so that's why he's able to really fend Seitz off on the exits, it seems. Inside or outside, he really fires well. But now, as Seitz almost clears him, it will be enough to complete that move finally. But remember, he got it done at the same spot last lap, and Watts was able to come back after the kick into Canada corner. If he can stay close enough, he should be in range to do that same thing again. as we actually approach towards half race distance now as well. The gap out to 2.6 seconds.
Exactly. We've just passed that half race distance, and here we are trying to get down through the carousel. Oh, Watts trying to hang on to the back of Sights, maybe set himself up for a nice run. Ooh, look at that. Sights going a little bit defensive before they hit the kink, trying to break that draft. But look at this, Watts maintaining his momentum. He's definitely got a run here. Let's see whether it's enough to get him coming into the next corner. He's going to try the outside once again.
Just wasn't close enough, and Sights positioned the car well. Not quite off the racing line, but not quite on it either. Just enough to protect both the inside and the outside from Watts, with how far back he was coming from. But he's very close now, back onto the main straight, so Sights going to be under pressure. He makes a mistake, runs a little bit wide, had to release the throttle, and now he releases the valve, and he comes down to pit road, so he's going to get some more fuel. Does he take fresh tyres with it as well? First of our leaders to dive to the lane.
First of any of our vehicles as well. He is in unknown territory at this point, and it'll be interesting to see whether the drivers, remember, he's alone here. He won't have any drafting help when he comes out the other side, so let's see what he does here in his pit box.
If he's got the ultimate pace though, he should be looking at a benefit if he nails the outlap.
And he's gonna take tires. He's up on those jacks, so wow, that was a quick stop.
Did he take tires, to be sure? 6.9 seconds. It's a quick stop either way. So he rejoins a long way down the order. He's back in 18th place now behind Andrew Wood. The battle between David and Mark McDonald. Mark trying to find his way back up the order after spinning. David trying to fend him off.
Remember, Mark was in that 4th position before that spin where he made a little bit of contact with the right rear tire to the wall. That has not been affecting his pace, but he has not been able to make his way past David McDonald. Now, David was about a second and a half up ahead of him when they recovered, and now they're starting to close a little bit more. So David and Mark now running nose to tail, and Mark's got an excellent run through the kink. This might be the opportunity he's been looking for.
It is, and David rolls off, lets him go. So, Mark McDonald, 216, back up into P5, following that earlier mistake. Now, at the front, does anyone respond to the pit stop from Sights? Declan Eady continues, he's all by himself. Joshua Chin decides to bring it up to pit road from 4th place.
So the two teammates, Edie and Watts, still going on. Joshua Chin will be the first driver to respond to Sights, and David McDonald will be the next. David losing that position to Mark on that lap decides to take to the pits, as well as David Serwas. So we're seeing a lot of these drivers who have been battling are going to come into the pits right now for extra fuel and possibly tires.
I think, there we go, out of pit lane. He's 1.1 seconds quicker in terms of stationary time, and he's going to rejoin right in front of Sights as a result. So Greg Sights loses out in the short run, but to the fresh tyres we think he took, give him the overall benefit when we get to the end of the race. But that's where we're going to see, I think, the benefit is at the very end, when those tyres that drivers started the race on really start to drop towards the end of their tyre life.
And here comes Sights making that move on the freshly released Joshua Chin. Those tires have just gone through a heat cycle for Chin, and they've got fresh ones on Greg, and he's had a lap to get them up to temperature here, so he's able to get off the corner. And let's see whether he pulls away from Chin here, or whether or not Chin can hang on to the draft, because I'm not sure whether or not the fresh tires are going to counteract the draft effect here at America.
Declan Eady putting in a very good lap times, 0.3 quicker than Watts last time by. Lap before that, he was a 10th quicker as well. So make that a second quicker. And now Declan decides to come to pit road, even with all that pace. He's had enough. Owen Watts follows him. Nicholas Delp comes in as well. So this is the end of the pit window. The fuel running dry in the cars. Everyone has to bring it to the lane so they can actually get around the race track without running out of fuel.
Now it's 37 It's about a 37-second delta in the pit lane from the time you enter to the time you leave. Greg Seitz coming around the final corner now. Declan Eady just coming up to his box. He's got the first one of the first boxes on this track. Here comes Seitz down, out, through, and Declan Eady's already down and away, so he's going to come out and be quite a few seconds up ahead of Greg Seitz. But who's going to get caught here? Owen Watts.
Remember, Seitz had got by Owen Watts before he pitted, but now he's back behind him. But again, it's cold tyres versus warm tyres, and you would suggest that Watts is going to be under the same sort of pressure that Chin was down into the next corner last lap, and he is. But he defends the inside. He's going to force Seitz to go the long way around here, and this is going to be difficult. But he might be able to clear him before the braking zone. Onto the brakes, they both dive for third line for the cold tyres. Trying to pull it up and not slide. He doesn't, but he's just slow through there. Not enough grip at his disposal, and Seitz is able to clean him up, and he takes away provisional P2. Or straight up P2, because everyone's pitted in that lap, so everyone now has completed the pit cycle.
Yeah, but Declan Eady gained about a second and a half on that pit cycle, and Greg Seitz was in the pit lane for an extra second. So that possibly could be where that advantage happened. So I don't know whether they can catch Declan by the time they end this race. It's going to be hard-pressed for Greg to get up there. Oh, we've had a wreck. Stefan Verde.
Yeah, there might have actually been contact with Espity. They were incredibly close together as they made their way heading towards the carousel. Here's a replay. Espity behind. There's Verity. So Espity's closing in as they get down to the next corner. And then watch the exit.
Yeah, there was definite contact with that front wing of Espity into the back right tire of Veride, and awesome to see the new, unfortunate for Veride, but awesome to see the grass being peeled up by the slick tires on Veride's machine as he pulls back out onto the track.
Gets rid of the grass, gets rid of the dirt off his tyres, and eventually get back to full grip and racing speed. Unfortunately, he's now back in 10th place.
If you want to know the difference between if you want to know the difference between fresh tires and new tires, or old tires rather, Mark McDonald just made his way past David McDonald. Mark is on fresh tires. David did not take tires, so this will be interesting. Actually, I think they both took tires. I think David just had a bad line through the last corner, but he's not going to challenge Mark McDonald for that position. He thinks he's faster.
Yeah, well, we've seen Mark be the faster driver. He was up inside that battle for the lead before the spin. He got behind David, he passed him already, and then he's had to make the pass again. So maybe fast, but maybe not quite as consistent, and making little errors here and there that continue to drop him down behind his fellow McDonald behind him. As we look at P10, make note of the fact that the gap at the front is starting to shut down to 3.6 seconds now. This is Espity trying to fend off Quinn.
These are both drivers who race in the Pacific Majors Series, and these two drivers in the Americas region, Austin Espity and Liam Quinn, and they both also have an IndyCar race towards the end of this month. That's going to be, I believe it's here at Road America. Oh, look at this. Espity with a bad line through the kink. That's going to give Liam Quinn a great opportunity here. He's going to take the inside. He's going to get it cleared before they hit the braking zone.
And that's a replica of what the McDonald's just did. Down to that same corner, they switched around in eerily similar fashion.
Oh, so interesting.
Yeah.
Ryan, I'm taking a look at Austin Espedy's car, and he's got very, very subtle, but definitely present, left front wing damage. The left front end plate has been bent outward a little bit, and I think that's negatively affecting his aerodynamics here. So that might be why he's a little bit slow.
Eagle eyes is what you've got. Here we go. This should tell us.
You can see it's just, it's very subtle, but even something like that with the amount of aerodynamics on this car, which isn't that much, that's going to make all the difference in the world when it comes to trying to get speed down the straights with this little engine.
I think I might need to pull out my telescope to take a look at that damage. Look at this battle for P3. Owen Watts, Joshua Chin, still within range of each other. Greg Seitz has not pulled away. The gap is 3.8 seconds. Edie responded to Seitz's blistering earlier lap, where he closed in by about 6 tenths. And now, that appears to be a stagnant gap. Seitz is worried about the guys behind him again, snaking his way out of the carousel, trying to shake the draft of Watts. And Watts and Chin both diving into the toe as quickly as they can.
Yeah, I think Edie took a little bit of time to get those tires back up to temperature from the heat cycling he put him through, and now he is responding. And Greg Seitz, even with those new tires, is not making that much of a difference around this particular track. Now remember, Road America is one of the draftier tracks that these guys are going to go to, so it's going to be fascinating.
What about the ovals?
Oh, sure, well, the ovals are a whole different ballgame, but I mean, as far as the road courses are concerned, I think that this is one of the more drafty tracks for these guys.
It is one of the bigger tracks as well, being lap times in the region of 2 minutes. So one of the least amount of least total lap cell complete over this season as well. On lap 16, we've only got 13 minutes to go. We've been racing for 32 minutes already. Look how aggressively Seitz is trying to shake the draft, snaking his way down the straights. Now, this isn't classed as blocking. Obviously, the blocking rule means you can't move more than once in response to the car behind. But when you're trying to shake the draft like that, you're not responding to the car behind, you're preempting them. Or so the rule and the wording goes. You're allowed to move your way down the straights like that, as long as you're not moving towards the braking zone. Changing around behind them again, McDonald and McDonald.
Yeah, these two guys can't seem to get away from one another. They've got the same last name, minus the 2 on the end of one of their account names. But these two guys have been swapping positions back and forth and back and forth. And it looks like David seems to be taking care of his tires a little bit better, because he's doing a lot better in the corners than Mark is. Mark's starting to deal with tight in, loose off, which is very, very characteristic of a car that's been a little bit overdriven.
Battle for P13. 4 cars in this one, and that's Ponik, who's in front of Verity, and we saw Verity running into issues earlier on. He's trying to claw here a few spots back and finish as high up as he can, minimize the damage that's going to come from a poor result today. And Armando Edwards tucked up behind him as well.
So very tight in behind Ponik. This is going to be interesting coming off of this final corner. Can Verity get a good exit? Looks like he's going to get a decent one. That should be good enough to get alongside by the time they hit turn 1. And right in behind them, Andreas Eich got a good exit on Armando Edwards. So we might see 2 side-by-side battles. Nope, Eich's going back out of it, but Verity will not. Oh, and side by side, Joshua Chin and Owen Watts for 3rd position. Oh no! Owen Watts gets sideways and gets into Joshua Chin. I think Chin might have been able to get away from it cleanly, but Owen Watts is around, and that is significant. That's the teammate of our leader, Declan Edie.
All right, we'll take a look at the replay on board the RSI Esports car. of Owen Watts. He moves it over, trying to defend. Isn't able to do it. Has to dive back to the racing line. On the inside is Joshua Chin. On the curbing, just loses it and actually hits Chin as he spins.
One of the benefits of the new damage model is that these cars are no longer solid. Those front wings can flex under the wheel, which means that allowed Joshua Chin to get away with that without major damage to his vehicle. So Chin free and clear to try and deal with sights, but Watts now down in 5th.
So that breaks up your peak 3 battle just a little bit. The top 3 are separated now. So Owen Watts is going to be under all sorts of pressure from the McDonald duo behind. And I tell you what, they've got a monumental run out of that final corner. Here comes David McDonald to the outside. Mark tucks in behind him, using his slipstream to go by. So Watts loses 2 spots for his efforts down that main straight. His top end speed seems to be affected just a little bit as Mark now takes to the inside and he picks up 2 spots before they get to turn 1. So good straight for him. Watts is able to recover his speed and slots into the draft 3rd in line.
Yeah, David, oh wow. Owen is having a big trouble with his turn in. He's losing a lot of time going through the corners as we see David McDonald not done with Mark McDonald quite yet. David didn't want to follow Mark through turn 1 around the outside, so he let him go, but I don't think David's quite done yet, and they're catching up to Nicholas Delp in that 4th position. Ooh, look at that. Mark McDonald getting a little bit wiggly there on the exit. David not able to take advantage.
Nine minutes remaining here at Road America for the first ever Indy Pro 2000 race here in the Precision Racing League. And the gap is closing again at the front. Greg Seitz down to 2.7 seconds behind Edie now. So Edie maybe starting to feel the effects of the older tyres compared to what Seitz has got in his car. Last lap, he was half a second quicker. The lap before that, 4/10 quicker.
Yeah, this could be the deciding factor. Now with 8 minutes to go, that's about 4 laps for these guys. Can Greg close almost 3 seconds in 4 laps? It's gonna take a monumental Herculean effort from Greg and a couple of mistakes from Edie to close that gap.
Edie responds, but Seitz went even quicker still, shut it down by a further 2 seconds. Edie just made a mistake off the first corner too, dropped a couple tyres off the grass on the left-hand side, so he's starting to feel the pressure that the leaderboard and the timing screens are starting to pile on him. Looking back, you can see Seitz in the distance, and he'll see that in his wing mirrors as well.
That's the mistake that I was talking about. Those mistakes might keep happening, but Greg Seitz is still going to have to put in some serious qualifying laps. Now, granted, he was fastest in practice on a clean track, and that's exactly what he has right now. He takes another 2/10 out of him just in that sector alone, still putting in an amazing lap time. Let's see whether Greg can get there. This will be close.
7 minutes, so that's, let's say, 3 laps to go. And if you get a good exit off the final corner, I think it probably is possible to pass someone before the start-finish line. So we might see a pass on the run to the line. But I think if you're Seitz, you want to get there as you come to the white flag and maybe make the move into turn 1.
Yeah, that would definitely be... You want to make the move at least before you get... I don't know. I almost would kind of want to wait until right there that he just passed. Going into this final sector. Yeah, absolutely. Canada corner, I think, might be the best place to make sure you secure that win for yourself, because I think you might be able to leave enough to break the draft here on the front stretch. But once again, Greg and Declan holding pretty steady that lap.
Well, he pulled 6 tenths in on him that lap. Not quite steady, but I think a lot of the gain came in the first couple of sectors, didn't it? It wasn't a great final sector. That's an incident, and gravel being dispensed from the tyres there. Here's a replay of what happened. This is down at Canada Corner.
Yeah, and this is just Mark outbreaking himself here. He was side by side with Armando Edwards here, and he just outbreaks himself into the corner. And then check out the new things they have going on for the tire model there. It actually picks up the gravel and drags it back on track here. So that's a new thing that we're seeing here, and the gravel getting dispersed as soon as he pulls back on track. But just a tough break for Ponik, who was doing a good job battling with Andreas Eick there.
Bad news for the next few cars who go through there, and they'll have some gravel in their way, losing them some grip. Visibly, the gap is shutting down. It's under 2 seconds now. Through the carousel. Sights can see him out that riser. I reckon Indy made a mistake off the exit of the carousel there. It was an interesting engine note from his sound as he exited. Through the kink, he gives the foot flat to the floor. Sights closes 2 tenths through the kink. Wow, he's fast through there. Those fresh tyres working in his favour at the end of the race, as Indy's tyres start to reach the cliff where they really drop off in performance. Down at 1.5. This last middle sector for Sights has been phenomenal.
Yeah, and that's another mistake from Edie, which is allowing Greg to pull in, but it's going to take another mistake, because even though Greg is so much faster, I just don't think he quite has the pace. But we're down to 4 minutes to go. That's about 2 laps. It really is going to come down to, I have no idea whether they're going to get an extra lap or not.
Yeah, they'll get 3 laps. So we are going to go a few more than I predicted. We'll get 3 laps to go. They'll cross the line with a few seconds to spare to begin the final lap. Oh. So Sights will love that. And gives him more opportunity.
And Edie can't back it down to try and get it down to 2 laps. So this is tough for him. He's got to go an extra lap, probably more than he predicted to do here. And Sights is closing.
I wonder if everyone filled the car expecting the extra lap as well. Another thing to consider.
Yeah, this could be one on strategy. It could be one on pace as well.
Meanwhile, Joshua Chin in third is hoping for some calamity in front. He's poised to pick up the pieces. 3.7 seconds back. Not close enough, I don't think, to close in the challenge, even if Sights and Edie started battling before the white flag.
I do want to give an update on Owen Watts. He picked up the same damage we see on Austin Espedy, just a little bit of a tweak to that front left dive plane, which is severely affecting his frontline speed. He has just lost another spot to Alex Guillon, so this is Owen Watts, just his bad day continues.
Sights might be in drafting range now. Certainly on the cusp of it. 1.1 seconds the gap. Into Canada Corner. Edie gonna have to start thinking about how he wants to defend this spot. How he can fight and hold off Sights and retain the lead of the race. To the final corner they come. 2 laps to go in Road America. Gap's now a second.
Alright, if I'm Edie at this point, I'm thinking to myself, I can't keep pulling this gap. Sights is within drafting range. He's drafting right now. What I need to do is focus on cooling off my tires so I have good grip for the defense. So take these next couple corners lightly and expect to start defending once we head down the middle straight.
So Edie made a few mistakes, not last lap, but the one previous, and he was 8 tenths slower than Sights. He cleaned it up for that lap and was just 4 tenths slower, but still, it's not enough. The gap, 3/4 of a second. Now that he's in that drafting range, the gap is going to evaporate in the blink of an eye. Looking on from the gearbox, you can see Sights.
Whoa!
Lurking, getting ever closer, and Edie probably caught watching his mirrors there as he clipped the grass into the braking zone. Sights goes a bit too deep with the extra speed from a slipstream for the first time in many laps, and he makes a mistake. First one we've seen in a while from him. Makes another one there.
Oh, Sights is pushing really, really hard right now, Ryan. This is going to get intense. Edie, all he has to do is just try and stay clean, try and stay safe, try and just put in the times that he knows he can put in as Seitz starts to make mistakes as he tries to claw his way forward or on that penultimate lap.
I think the pressure's now on Seitz to close in the last little bit. He's done most of the hard work, but he's got just a little bit still left to go before he can pounce. The pressure's on him to find that pace. But Indy, he needs to just keep doing what he's been doing. If Seitz catches him, so be it. Then he's got to start defending. The gap on this lap is not shut down by much at all. About 4 tenths again. 35 seconds left on the clock.
And Seitz definitely getting a little bit tight in the draft of Edie. He's going to have to do something special here on this final lap to try and make it by. He's going to get 3 opportunities to draft Edie, and each one will gain him at least 0.2 of a second. So here's his first one.
White flag, one more time around at Road America for the first ever Indy Pro 2000 race in the Precision Racing League here on GSRC. Last time by, 3 tenths quicker for Seitz. The gap, 4 tenths now. It's shut down by 3 tenths already on this lap. Such was the benefit of the tow, the slipstream, on the run between the start-finish line and turn 1. He loses a couple tenths from the first and second corners though. The dirty air starting to affect him.
Just needs to brake a little bit earlier than he would normally want to try and counteract the speed he's gaining on the straights, and also the deflection he's getting from getting tight in the aero draft of Edie. He's able to gain a little bit there. I think he's starting to pick up the idea here, but he's only got one more drafting zone to go, and so he's got to get a good exit through the carousel, one of the most aero-dependent parts of the track, in order to get a good run here. Edie still 0.5 ahead. I'm not sure it's close enough, Ryan.
Indy cannot afford to make a mistake now. If he does, he almost throws this one away. He's fought so hard to maintain the gap. It's been shut down drastically over the last final few minutes of this race, but as he comes towards the kink, he's got a gap out of 3/4 of a second now. He should be safe. He's got to keep it clean though. Through the kink they both run, they keep it all on the black stuff. In the Canada corner, one last big braking zone for Edie to pull it up and keep it on the track. He pulls it up nicely. He meets the apex. He meets the outside of the corner. And now, through the last few twists and turns, the gap is starting to extend in favor of Edie. And into the final corner, Declan Edie has fended off an incredible charge from Greg Seitz. And after battling away with his teammate Owen Watts from starting from second place, Declan Edie going to become the first ever race winner in the Indy Pro 2000 here in the Precision Racing League.
And Seitz runs out of fuel across the line. That was how close he was.
Joshua Chin will come home in the end in a lonely 3rd place.
And David McDonald is able to pass Mark McDonald at the end as well for 5th position. So what a fantastic race from those guys. We still aren't done yet though. We still have P13 between Austin Espedy, Andreas Eich, and Armando Edwards who are battling. And it's going to be Espedy in favor in that battle, with Andreas Eich and Armando Edwards coming home in the 14th and 15th, with Austin Espedy coming home in that 13th position.
With the race wrapping up, we'll go to a break here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Stay with us. We'll take a look at your full results post-break and then some interviews with our higher finishers. Welcome back to GSRC, our coverage of the Precision Racing League Indy Pro 2000 series, concluding after the first ever race, wrapping up in astonishing style. The margin of victory in the end for Declan Eady stood at 1.3 seconds, but it felt a lot closer than that. Greg Seitz coming home just short in second. Joshua Chin rounding out your podium. Nicholas Delp coming home fourth. David McDonald won out the race-long battle he had with Mark McDonald to claim fifth ahead of him. David Saroy home in seventh. Alex Guillaume in eighth. Liam Quinn, Michael Overbay running out your top 10.
11th place is going to be Owen Watts, who fell from first down to 11th after making contact there. Stefan Verdes finishes in the 12th position with Austin Espedy in 13th. Andreas Eich finishes right behind him in 14th with Armando Edwards chasing in 15th position. Mark Ponick recovers up to the 16th position after that late spin, with Andrew Wood finishing in 17th position. Lyndon Swaby, Aaron Rufus, and Daniel Zegers round out your top 20, with Daniel Zegers being the first of our cars that had damage. Then we have our non-finishers, Christian Kavanka, Daniel Cranefoos, Brian Daly, Nathan Lewis, and Mitchell Ian Green.
Let's have a chat to our race winner, Declan Eady. Congratulations, had to fight hard for that one.
Yeah, it was a crazy race. I don't think I would have had as much of a shot if it weren't for Owen getting his elbows out with Greg. That was great to see. And yeah, we were debating whether to take tires or not. Turns out that was the right call to not take them. But yeah.
So at the start of the race, obviously you and Owen were swapping and swapping quite a bit. And then Sykes got in the picture and you started to run away. What was the mindset there? Obviously, you and Owen are teammates. Were you just trying to work together to try to pull a gap, or what was the story?
Yeah, so we were trying to sort of save fuel because we weren't sure on fuel mileage and all that. So we were trying to save fuel, try and pull away, and then I managed to get out in front, and Greg got a shot at Owen and kind of pulled him back. And Owen was just telling me to try and check out as best I can. So yeah, like I said, I mean, this one's for Owen too.
You spoke about the tyres. You opted not to take them. Now, bearing in mind, you had a margin before the pit stop over Sykes. He shut the gap down, even with him taking tyres and the previous margin you held. Do you think maybe if Sykes was a bit closer pre-pit stop, that you would have taken tyres?
Maybe. I mean, that's the first I've seen of him taking tires. I didn't know that he did. So, but yeah, he couldn't catch me at the end there because I think he was fuel saving. My teammates said that he ran out of fuel at the line, so he definitely could have had a shot at me. So maybe if I would have had to do it all over again, I probably would have taken tires, knowing that now.
Either way, it's a great start to the championship run for you. Looking forward now to the rest of the season. You and Owen will be working hard to maintain that speed. Before we let you go, who are the people that get it done and the sponsors you want to give a shout out to?
I just want to give a shout out to G Performance, ButtKicker, Abruzzi, and Formula Hypersoft News on Instagram. Those are the guys that, as well as Rosso Sim Racing. Yeah, those are the guys that just keep the team running, keep us with the right gear, everything like that. Shout out to JL Race Aesthetics for the Toronto Maple Leafs helmet. Did a great job on that. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for the broadcast, guys.
Thank you for joining us.
All right, and next up we have Greg Seitz, our second place finisher. Greg, you were in battles all day, but talk us through that final stint when you were trying to catch up to Declan. We know that you ran out of fuel over the line. It must have been very close. Were you fuel saving at all there?
On the very last lap, I knew I wasn't going to have enough. So I actually was helped by getting into Declan's draft a little bit. So I knew I couldn't push and challenge him for the win. I wouldn't have made it. So yeah, and I'm sure you noticed in the last few corners, I just completely backed off. I was getting ready to coast across the line, which I did a little bit. So yeah, unfortunately, just about 0.1 liters less than I needed.
And Greg, we've seen you finish runner-up quite a few times here in the last couple of seasons. When do you think that opportunity for the win is going to come?
Oh, I mean, I think this has good prospects for a really good season for me. I think being in third here on such a draft track was really tough to overcome, but I was able to make up some ground a little bit. I tried to hit early just to see if I could shake things up, but we all pretty much came out where we were, so that accomplished really nothing. But yeah, I'll just keep pushing on. We kind of messed up our qualifying as a team, so put some of my teammates behind me a little too far back, and we really weren't able to coordinate well, unfortunately. So I think we could have had pole there if we actually were a little better coordinated, which we're going to work on for next time.
Well, Greg, fantastic battling today, and you almost made it there, but is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go today?
Yeah, as usual, I want to thank you guys doing a great job broadcasting, and the sponsors for PRL, as well as my teammates. We train hard together, and I think it's a lot of fun. So,
all right. Well, thanks for talking to us, Greg.
All right. Thanks, Adam.
And let's have a chat to Joshua Chin, running home in third place today. It seemed like you were there, but not quite there for most of this one.
Yeah, didn't take tires on the stop, and in hindsight, I probably should have. It was only 1 or 2 extra seconds, and I would have come out with Greg and probably had a shot to run him down at least. But good result. I wasn't expecting to have much out of this race. I kind of rushed home at the last minute, didn't have much practice going in, so hopefully I'll get some more practice in for next week at Phoenix. But I can't complain with the result.
Yeah, third place, definitely nothing to sneeze at, and a good start to your season effort. Now, obviously, next week we head to Phoenix. So what changes in terms of preparation is a completely different track. It's an oval. Obviously, the racing is going to be wildly different. What are you looking to do in terms of preparation for that one?
It's already doing a lot of laps, making the setups for this car for Craig's setup shop. I think I've already put in about 100 laps just this morning. And that was just getting a baseline feel of the car that's not even really working on anything. So by the time it comes around to next Thursday, I'll probably be around 1,500 laps, just trying to get things working here.
Well, I guess I just figured out why I'm never competitive any leagues I run. Damn, it's a lot of laps, and hopefully with that effort, you can run towards the front again, and we look forward to seeing how you go there. For running home in P3 today, who are the sponsors that get it done for you?
I got to give a shout out to Wyatt Gooden Sim Shop. My rig is on the way from them right now, actually. Craig Setup Shop, everyone at Team Talent. Overall, it's a great race for us, and hopefully we can keep that momentum.
Alrighty, well, best of luck. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And so interviews wrap up. We'll wrap up this broadcast. It's been a fantastic show to open up our first ever Indy Pro 2000 series here from the Precision Racing League here on GSRC. Thank you to Simsa for their continued support of PRL and of these broadcasts, helping you to see these shows live each and every day almost with PRL. Thank you to Precision Racing League as well, of course, for bringing you the series. Thank you to the companies that provide all the software and hardware, and Juno Londe, who provides our music. Without any of them, none of these would be possible. You can see the screen for how to get a hold of all of those companies, and also June. Thank you as well, of course, to Joe behind the scenes and Adam alongside me, providing the screens and the co-commentary for this evening. If you want to find out more about GSRC, you can find it on our website at globalsimracingchannel.com. Check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global SimRacing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. See the screen as well for plenty of upcoming races coming up on our YouTube channel. Make sure you check and subscribe there while you're at it. But from all of us up here in the booth, thank you for joining us. And until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.